Hello and a warm welcome from rainy Berlin. So far it's been, let's say, rather modest summer, but never mind that. Today isn't really about the weather at all. I'd like to present my latest and most significant update to you specifically for the incredibly useful Snare Roll Generator tool. So what exactly is it all about? In general, it's about the fact that when you want to create drum and especially snare transitions, you always have to edit them in a time-consuming and tedious way. And in the end, it's always the same thing, any placing notes in 8s, 16s, 30 seconds. And I wanted to link a script with a Bitwig instrument in such a useful way that I would have less work to do with it in the future. And this is what came out of it. Let me show you. I've called it the Snare Roll Generator. You can just load it in here. And for that, this is the instrument itself, which basically consists of 3 instruments using an instrument selector, but it's automated by the script. I'll show you that in a moment. And behind it, on the one hand, is the Bitwig 5.9 snare drive module, and you can simply activate the individual parameters here using these buttons and then draw them accordingly using the curves here. Exactly. And that eliminates the annoying process of having to select the pitch in the automation lane each time and then draw it in instead. You can conveniently handle all of that right here. In any case, here you have the individual parameters that you can activate, and as soon as they're activated, you can see here that the modulation appears, and the modulation is controlled via the curve here, allowing you to manage individual modulations accordingly. Exactly. And the nice thing is the whole process works in such a way that there's a matching script to support it, which also generates the Midi notes for you. Previously, I did this using the note generation tool and then with repetitions, but that's relatively inflexible. And now, in addition to this module here, you can also load the matching Snare Roll Generator script. This means that if you change the number of bars here, the corresponding generator will automatically switch after the generation. That's because the bar length is stored here. You can see here, if there are 2 bars, then every parameter here is also automatically set to 2 bars. And with 4, it's set to 4 bars accordingly, because the block length is then 4 bars, and ideally this should be automated. And I managed to do that. I'll show you how. So first of all, the first step is simply to draw in some blocks here. I select them. I'm intentionally set to 4 bars here, but I switch to 2 bars here and choose the pattern type. In other words, it should just generate notes linearly, like a typical drum roll for a transition. And right here, you can also adjust the humanization, meaning how precisely it's aligned to the grid or how much it's shifted to sound more human. There's also the option here to change the individual velocities, that is the volume of each note. I'll just leave that on the default setting. Where should this happen? In the Ranger or the launcher? Exactly, and now I just click on General Snare Roll. You have to select it here first, General Snare Roll, and as you can see, what happened? The corresponding notes have been written here, and you can also see the velocities which go up in a standard way. And maybe you're wondering why there's a second note up here, a longer note that's also included. That's a trigger note, which isn't played audibly, but is used to switch the selector down here. As soon as I play this now, you'll see that it automatically switches to 2 bars here, because this trigger sets it off. Exactly. Now I'll put on my headphones so I can hear something too. All right, let's play the whole thing for a moment. I'll set a loop right here. Exactly, as you can hear now, it's exactly the parameters that are selected that are being modulated. There's one more thing I forgot to explain. So all of this here refers to the parameters of this module. You can see it to pitch, decay, snappiness, drive, click, tone. And behind that, I've also added some audio effects. So you can see there's a whole bunch of audio effects in the chain here as well. Right, they're currently deactivated, but they also get activated automatically via this front panel here. That means if I turn on the flanger now, the flanger back here will also automatically turn on. And that one is also controlled here via this modulation curve, just like with any transition riser or snare roll, where it's usually paired with an audio effect, be it a high pass filter, low pass filter, or whatever else. And you can also activate that additionally here. But for now, I'll just leave the high pass and saturation on, flanger off. And at the moment, we're only modulating pitch and tone. So let's listen to that again briefly. Exactly, and here, especially with the distinct pitch, you can hear it most clearly and precisely. The subtle nuances and specific characteristics of the sound are remarkably apparent. Yes, and you can easily observe how incredibly quickly and effortlessly you can change and adjust all the various parameters. Now add the kick again, snapping. Click, drive, and I will add some more visual effects to this particular scene. And here you can also mix in the dry, wet of all the effects at once, or turn them on and off globally. Exactly, that's the principle of the drum module, and I'll show you again how it works. If I set this to 4 bars, then do the same here with generate and play it, it automatically switches to 4 bars, you see? And with that you have complete control. Each effect here is synced to 4 bars, so you don't have to worry anymore, is the length correct or not? And the same applies for 8 bars as well. And then you can, I'll just stick with 2 bars for no, and then you can hear. There are various pre-made MIDI patterns that determine the snare rolls. And these are standard things, I'll keep expanding on them, but for now I'll just show you what's already there. We just heard the linear one. Let's try exponential now. Select, generate exponential. You see 4 here, I press play and it jumps to 2. And of course now it also has a different MIDI line. Exactly. Now I'll turn off the whole effect overkill here. Okay, we can leave the reverb on. And now I'll show you a few more combinations here. There we go. And I can also show you how it behaves with volume under the dynamic settings. That was on standard just now. Now I'll switch to wave intentionally and generate a snare roll. And if you look down here now, the velocity is displayed in a kind of waveform. And here you can set it to go up, down, or even accent certain parts. This adds another layer of variation on top of the MIDI notes. So now I'll set it to ascending again, add a classic fill, generate, and here you go. Syncopated. You can make it a bit faster. Triplets. Clams. Very fast at 140 BPM, but let's slow it down a bit. Double strokes are, of course, ultra fast again now. paradiddle. So basically, I've now shown you all the patterns, how you can quickly turn effects on and off here, and how you can easily manipulate each individual parameter. And I think it's a super handy tool, because how often are you in the editing process and you want a quick snare roll at a certain spot, and then you always have to tediously edit each individual note and draw the automation lanes. And with this, you just have a simple, cool, fast tool. And as I said, I will definitely keep expanding the corresponding script with plenty of new pattern types from time to time. And yes, you can download it from my Patreon page. Thanks again for listening. And if you enjoyed it, feel free to share, like, and keep subscribing. And yes, as I said, if you're interested in more Midway content, feel free to let me know in the comments what else you might want, or what kinds of tools could be built, especially with note scripts. I'm really enjoying that right now. Okay, thanks for watching. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.